Well, what do you guys think is wrong here? Okay, I got a little carried away, started working without filming this, so I don't know if I can do a whole tripod thing or if I just do these little updates. But I drained the oil, drained the coolant, evac'd the AC system. I disconnected the high pressure line. I haven't done the low pressure line yet, but I put this little expanding rubber there so it will stay sealed. And I took the radiator out because that was totally bad, but I probably would want to take it out anyway. And disconnected my power steering lines. Took out the air box, obviously. Took out my intercooler. And so this is where we're at. I think hopefully we can get this done pretty fast, where once we get the engine harness disconnected, our fuel line is disconnected, our low pressure AC line, we'll probably do, not sure what we're gonna do quite yet, but I've been careful to kind of look at stuff while we're disassembling. So there was a little bit of oil in the intercooler, which, you know, is pretty normal, but there wasn't an excessive amount. The oil wasn't milky. So this car did overheat really bad, and when I cranked it over, it had zero compression. So not sure exactly what happened, but I know for sure when I cranked it over by hand, you could see that it was pushing coolant out of the radiator. So we either have a really bad head gasket leak, or there's some head damage where it cracked, or anyway, we're letting all of our compression is going either in the coolant system. So the only thing we can do is tear this motor out and see what happened. But yeah, we'll disconnect the turbo exhaust, we'll take the starter out, disconnect whatever that piece is called, someone knows what it's called, and I got my turbo protected a little bit from nuts and bolts, and then we'll do flywheel bolts, or sorry, flex plate bolts, and bell housing bolts, and we'll see if we can get this thing out of here. Hopefully we can get it done tonight. It's getting dark, it's like almost 4 o'clock, so an hour and a half left. We'll see. Sorry, that's a lot of talking, but that's just catching you guys up. Also, I know this is kind of a given, but when I'm doing a job like this, and I know it might take a while to have the customer approve whatever work's going to be done, I always put my bolts back. So I got my turbo bolts, I just put back my bolts for my AC line, and I try to stay extra organized. So right here I have just some parts. I labeled things left and right, kept my bolts together. This is really important. If you're going to whip it out in a day or two, I don't really worry about that kind of stuff, but if I know that I might have this car for more than a week, I will be really meticulous trying to mark everything, put bolts back where they were, that way I don't have any loose bolts anywhere. Yeah. Also, I don't know if you guys struggle with this same thing, but I have just this really basic fuel quick disconnect tool right here, and it was old, and I'm like 90% sure I bought like a master kit, and that must have been 6 or 7 months ago, and I don't really need it because usually the other one does the job, but I like looking for it, and I know I have it, but I don't know where I stored it, so that's really a bummer for me, but I'm sure I'll find it somewhere. Or maybe I didn't buy it. Maybe I thought I bought it. I don't know. Hopefully that doesn't happen to you guys. Well, it looks like I'm not crazy after all. I ended up getting it, so that's cool. Just in case someone wants to know how these work, these are my fuel lines. They have these little clips that retain that line, and I'll take it out so you can see. So this guy, it's kind of universal, but there's other fittings. So you slip it over the pipe, you squeeze it together, and then you push down, and it'll release that clip, and you'll be able to pull that out. And of course, it's always harder with one hand. There we go, comes out just like that. So, pretty nifty. So here's a little quick tip. This is really close to the line. That is kind of close. I'm sure there is a special tool that I probably don't have, but this is too long. Can't get it in there. I don't have any fittings. It's funny, I just mentioned I bought this master kit. Apparently it's not master kit, so fine stuff. You can always improvise. I got this little piece of cardboard, and I can't do this one-handed, but I'm gonna roll it up and I'm gonna slide it in, because I don't know if you can see on this one, my camera will focus, it's got two sides right here and right here. That's what locks that in. So the idea is you get something, whether you use a tin can or a piece of cardboard, you slip that over the pipe, it's skinny enough, you push it on and you'll be able to get that off. I'll tell you how long it takes me, we'll see. All right, quick little update. I got it off. Cardboard did not work, as most of you probably thought it wouldn't. I ended up just getting my old set, cutting it a little short so I could slip it in there. So now this will be my Subaru disconnect tool. All right, so it's the next day. I got the engine out and I'm in my messy garage, and it was, I ran into a strip bolt. The motor mount bolt was totally stripped, and so I kind of struggled getting it out. It's 14 mil, and I ended up just getting a 12.13 millimeter socket on it, and I was able to finally break it free the impact. So I don't know, it's like not that big of a setback, but it was about a 30-minute setback, and it was already dark, and it was cold, and so I was just pushing to get it out. I got the motor out pretty easy, but then my engine hoist failed. It just stopped going up, and so I had to lower the car basically on the bottom of the jack, took the tires off and lowered the car all the way down as far as I could go, and then I ended up having to get some ratchet straps to get the engine to clear. So that pushed me to about 11:30, 12. Yeah, no fun, but I got it on the engine stand, and this is where we're at. Let me show you. All right, sorry, I'm kind of in a cramped space. I've got my project car right there. I've got the engine, and then this is just kind of a cluttery mess. You don't need to watch it, but look at this. So I noticed this while I was taking the engine out of the car. It looks like it melted this harness. I don't think it got to the wires, but it melted the harness, and just kind of showing that this thing did get pretty darn hot. So we're gonna find out why it has no compression. If it's a head gasket, if it is piston rings, or what. I think I'm more leaning towards head gasket, head issues, just because it's an EJ255, and you know how that goes, I'm sure. But yeah, look at this. It's like right there, that gasket, it kind of is crispy. It looks like it was in a fire almost. All the gaskets, there was, I think the other motor mount had some plastic melted, and sorry, I don't want to talk too much, but yeah, this thing got hot. But let's figure it out. And then I think my plan of attack is I'll probably, I don't know. I don't have a lot of, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I think I want to get it timed top dead center. I'll take these covers off to see, to get it top dead center, and then I'll do a cylinder leak down test on cylinder 1, and we'll see where the air is going. Okay, so I have done cylinder leak down test on all of the cylinders, and it is not as telling as I would have hoped, but it is definitely telling of something. Let me show you this. All right, so just kind of go over, let's just say, so 10 to 20% is the allowance, 10 to 20% loss. All right, so if we just make the math easy, I guess it's easy either way, but we're at 100 PSI and we're at a 0% loss. All right, so hopefully we're looking at about 90 would be good, would be great. 80 would be within, but look at this. Can't do this one-handed, so I'll set you down. Go back to 100. 20. So 20, that's an 80% loss. And what I was saying is, I mean, it was making sense, that's why it has zero compression, but I'm not hearing anything from the exhaust, not hearing anything from the intake, I'm not hearing anything from the crankcase, but everything I hear coming from this guy right here, I actually can feel the air coming out of that coolant jacket or coolant hose connector. Someone I was talking earlier said it's not quite what I was hoping for. I was hoping that I would find at least one bank worse than the other. Maybe we blew a head gasket worse on one side, but all of the cylinders are almost identical, and I just don't love that. I don't love how both sides are giving me the same readings, the same loss. I mean, we're at 80-90% loss on all the cylinders. But it is also very likely that both head gaskets blew and they're both leaking a lot. And so what I'm worried about is if I do a head gasket job and it creates more, it seals it, which like it should, then how much blow by am I gonna have through my rings? Is it gonna leak through the valves? Because everything is going through the coolant jackets. I don't know if I'm really testing, pressurizing the piston rings or the valves. So I actually don't even know how many miles are on this car because it was dead when it got brought to me, and it looks fairly low mileage. If I had to guess, we're probably around 100,000 miles. I mean, for me, that's low mileage. All my cars are really high, but I understand Supers, Audis and stuff, it's a little different. Anyway, I have to talk with this guy and see if he wants to have me keep tearing it down where we get the heads off and we can look into things. But I mean, if you can see this, I had mentioned that there was some oil in the intake, which is kind of common for turbo cars, but this has a puddle, and so I'm worried that this also has an oil consumption issue as well. And so maybe we have to decide if it's better to do the head gaskets and hope that the piston rings are good and that the bottom end is good, or do we just put a used motor in that has lower mileage? Anyway, get back to you.